Welcome back. I'm Anastasia, a trauma therapist, owner of Happy Mind Wellness Company, a Colorado-based therapy practice, and creator of this podcast. My mission is to build a community of acceptance and authenticity. I needed some adventure buddies for this trip, and I am so glad that it's you. You are all welcome here, and I'm grateful you decided to join me on this journey of insight. As a disclaimer, there may be swearing in this podcast, but sometimes we get caught up in the human experience, it happens, and sometimes we can talk about difficult or activating topics. So maybe put on some headphones if you need to, and remember that support exists for you if you want it. Today, I am joined by Rachel King, a highly sensitive person, just like me, who found herself anxious all the time, and eventually learned how to work with her body instead of pushing herself to the point of burnout. At the time this episode is released, Rachel's masterclass, From Chaos to Calm, is officially available for purchase on her website, thesensitivespace.com. You will be able to find a link for this on my Instagram, in my link tree, or you can find Rachel on Instagram at thesensitive.space. From her program, From Chaos to Calm, Rachel writes, "If you've ever wondered, why do I feel everything so much? This is where things start to make sense." And if you do feel that way sometimes, her class might be for you. So join us today as we talk about sensitivity, nervous system regulation, somatic connection, and finding calmness in the body as we figure out what direction to move in life. You are not broken, and you're not alone. So let's build some insight today. Hi, welcome Rachel to Insights with Us.
Hi, thank you for having me today. I'm so excited to be here, so thanks for having me.
I am so excited as well. And I was wondering if you could start a little bit about maybe talking about being highly sensitive and this sensitive space that you have built.
Okay, yeah, so there's a lot. I, as a child, was always quite emotional. I was always quite upset. I was always emotional. I was quite introverted as a child. And I kind of felt that I didn't quite connect with other people, or was always sort of looking at people from a sort of distant way of like, why am I so upset by things? Why do I take things so personally? And other people were able to sort of shrug it off and get on with things. So looking back to my childhood, I was quite unwell a lot of the time. So I talk about this a lot in my posts and on my website, and I was always having kind of stomach problems. I think as I grew up into my teens and early 20s, I kind of looked around and I kind of thought, this isn't really something that I want to be. So I did a lot of masking, and the way I came to mask my sensitivity and how I felt a little bit different from other people was I did a lot of drinking and substances, which kind of disconnected me from myself. These then heightened me and made me like able to be more extroverted or sort of be more like other people, quote, other people.
Be the way you should be.
Should be the way you should be. So a lot of the time I did this, and this was a pattern that kind of kept repeating itself for quite a while for me. Um, I was the fun party girl, easygoing kind of person. But deep down, like I always felt like this wasn't me, and I was masking myself. I was trying to fit in with what everyone else was doing.
That sounds exhausting.
It's exhausting. So this mentally and like emotional exhaustion kind of manifested a lot for me in like chronic bouts. I had depressive episodes where I was so insecure in myself and down that I had, I did take medication for this. I had lots of therapy for it, and it would just keep repeating itself. I'd keep coming back to this feeling of anxiousness and have the depression, and this kind of kept repeating itself for a while. And I think what I realized was all the time, and I talk a lot about this, is that I was trying to like mask and and like remove myself. So, and try and sort of stop myself being a way that I couldn't really stop myself being, because actually I am sensitive. I'm highly sensitive to things. So I was trying all the time to like get rid of it and push it away. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like you tried to pretend it wasn't there, but that doesn't change that it existed. And so you were making yourself more and more miserable as you tried to ignore that piece of yourself. But that piece of yourself can't actually disappear.
I This is what my whole thing is. It's like I don't want people who are highly sensitive to think that they need to change themselves. It's just how we manage ourselves and we see ourselves, which is the really, I think, really the important thing. But this pattern, it also manifested in lots of different ways. Like for me, I've had eating problems where I've, not eaten properly, or I've had the other end where I've gained weight from stress. So there's a lot of physical symptoms that were manifesting a lot of the time. Now, I did practices in my early 20s, like yoga, spirituality, practices like breath work, and I kind of had my foot half in half out with it. So I was like, yeah, I really love this, but I also like want to be this like person that's really outgoing and parties all the time. So it was kind of like half in half out, because I was just trying to like navigate where I was with it. And what really changed for me was when I started fully sort of committing to myself. Rather than trying to be something I wasn't, I started trying to fully commit to who I was and embracing my sensitivity. And I mean, it's not always been easy. I still find myself going back into past patterns, but now I have that like compassion to sort of see it for myself, and I have that compassion to say and talk to myself in a way that I wouldn't have been able to maybe 6, 7 years ago, when that was still happening for me. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it made sense. And maybe it made sense because I'm also highly sensitive and my brain is just like, yeah, of course. Of course you fall back into old patterns. Of course your brain is like, wait, you're too sensitive because that's what the world tells us, right?
Exactly.
So once you started to not just accept who you are, but lean into it, like you said, you just fully embraced the fact that you're sensitive. What did you uncover? Like, what did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about your values? Like, what came next?
So, I mean, I felt empowered. It gave me the confidence to be like, actually, I don't need these relationships in my life. They're not serving me. It was scary. I'm not gonna lie, it's been isolating sometimes to step away from people, because what happens is when you start going against what other people want you to do, you see the people who drop off. And the people who drop off, quite unfortunately, quite a few people drop off. And then you realize, who are those people in my life who are there, who are like the concrete people, um, and it makes things a lot clearer. Yes, there's sort of an isolation sometimes that comes with that, but I guess through that you then build resilience, and I've built confidence in myself, in who I am. I do things for me now. Not so much that I wouldn't do things for other people, because I like to help people. I like to be, that's part of my nature. But I guess I'm much more sort of assured of who I am. And it can be scary to do that, especially if you're in situations which, you aren't around familiar people. Like I've said, I've been living in Vietnam for like the past couple of years, and or not past, like 4 years, and that was hard, because I've not been around friends and family that those people that are like your friends forever, and they're there and you've known them for a long time. I've not had that support network, so
Yeah. I'm
that's been really
laughing
difficult.
because I haven't had that. My longest friend I met when I was 18 because I moved so much growing up. I didn't have friends from when I was young.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't have, so I was going to talk about this. I don't have lots of friends from when I'm younger, but my really core group of friends are sort of people from university and when I was living in Bristol.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess it's like those friendships that for me were those like deeper friendships I had it's hard to get that when you're living somewhere where you're not sure of people.
I have a question. I have a question. Because before we hit record, you talked about how your values have shifted a little, which is why you're starting to think more about, oh, I want this community again. But what initially pulled you to Vietnam to leave these groups of friends and these communities? Like, what made this so important that you needed to go down this path?
I've always sort of felt like for me there was this drawing to I've always loved travel, and I know lots of people love travel, but I think travel is really important for broadening your perspectives and your understanding of things. But I also love routine and I also love comfort. So traveling as a highly sensitive person is highly sensitive and it can, as you probably know, be exhausting. So I tend to, when I'm traveling, not travel, just stay in one place because it helps me. I'm not good with lots of around and change. But
Hmm.
so back to the original question. So I was in a relationship previously for quite a while. It wasn't a bad relationship, but we weren't matched properly. Um, that person, they were nice, but they weren't emotionally deep enough for what I needed as someone who was highly sensitive. So I know as highly sensitive people, we crave deeper connections with people. We crave that sort of not that surface level talk. I mean, I find surface level talk quite draining, but I was with somebody who couldn't give me that.
You want somebody who can hold space for that deeper emotion and be
Yeah,
able to see you in your sensitivity.
exactly. And that was another thing that was just constantly getting taken away from me. Like I wasn't able to be myself. I mean, I'm not going to talk about that too much because I don't want to like, in case they won't listen to this, but they won't. But that kind of pushed my sensitivity away because I was trying not to be emotional the whole time. So that relationship came to a head and it broke down. And I was just in this place of, I need to do something for myself. I've always wanted to work and travel and do something remotely. So I did. It was really scary because I do like my routines and I do like being comfortable. But I thought, this is for me, this feels like a way I'm going to grow and a way I can better myself and a way that I can provide for myself. But yeah, provide for myself. So I was able to do this. And since leaving the UK, I'm not going to say it's been easy every part of it, but the opportunities and the growth and the synchronicities that have happened for me, it's been so aligned. Yeah.
Oh, as it, you said in your, talking about the relationship, and I won't go and ask too many details about it, but the fact that you said that, it wasn't matched. And then hearing you talk about what you've learned and discovered through this sensitivity, it was a returning to yourself. So, like, that relationship wasn't matched, but you're finding a way to almost match with yourself. And that just sounds so beautiful and so powerful.
Thank you.
I mean, your story, because as you're saying, and I want to ask you about your routine and this comfort that you keep bringing up, because I'm big into routine and comfort too. But I love that. I want to compare our routines. Uh, I love that even though you're like, well, I need my routine and I need my comfort and I need these things, you still were able to honor the part of yourself that needed something else, right? It wasn't just, this is the only thing that makes me feel safe. It's, well, I need this safety, but also I can travel and maybe find it some other way. Or I can adapt what my routine looks like as long as I find a routine to settle into for maybe this period of time until I need to find a new one. I really appreciate the fluidity of that.
Yeah, and I think that opens it up for a lot of people. Again, as highly sensitive people, we don't want to put ourselves in this like, this is what I do, this is me, this is one way for all highly sensitive people, because it's like everybody has different ways of being. Um, but I guess, like we saying, yeah, I still need that routine, but it's like, well, also I can still want to broaden my experiences of life as well and put myself in those situations that help me to grow.
Yeah. So, what is your ideal routine?
Oh, okay. So are we talking morning routine or are we talking day
All of the
routine?
above. All of the above. What is your ideal?
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about, like, you can edit this out. So edit out the pre-ramble if you want. But so I used to be one of these people that was like, I need to get up at 5 a.m. every single day because I was like, I need, when you see all this thing on social media and everywhere that's like, I need to get up at 5 a.m. I need to do my workout, and then need to do this, and I need to do that, and I need to have my breakfast by this time, and it must have a matcha latte. And as much as those things are great, I think there's a lot of like, it does get me frustrated. There's a lot of like miscommunication on what routines are good for people, and I think it's different for everybody. But so I used to be like that. I used to be very like rigid with my routines. And I'm still quite rigid. I'm still quite a rigid person, and like, don't get me wrong. Like, but now I'm much more relaxed with myself. And I guess I've always been a morning person. I work really well from like 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then as soon as the afternoon comes around, it's like, whoa, I'm done. Like, I'm a morning person, and I've always been that way. I get to bed really early. I'm normally like getting ready for bed at 8:30 and in bed by 9. But that's just how I've always been. I'm not a night person. I don't Funny enough, when I was doing all the partying, I was a night person, but that was because of other ways of keeping up with things. But
As that you were distracting from what you actually needed and masking it all.
exactly. But I'm definitely, somebody who likes to get up early. I'm normally up by 6 a.m. And I find that for me, like, gentle movement in the morning is really important. So I'm a yoga teacher. I teach yoga and I do yoga most days. I try to do something practice where I'm feeling into my body. So instead of like pushing through and doing like a really hard like power routine, normally my morning yoga is very gentle. It's like lubricating the joints. It's feeling into those parts of my body that feel stiff. Like this morning, I woke up and, like, I don't know about you, but I carry so much tension in my shoulders, and I'm just so. I mean, it's just like there's somebody there or something there, and I'm just trying to open it up the whole time. So I did like a really nice, gentle yoga routine for my shoulders this morning. So it's kind of thinking, I check in with my body and how it's feeling that day and what it needs. Sometimes it will just be literally laying on my yoga mat, and that's it. I do tend to try and get out of bed straight away because otherwise I do feel like I'm just kind of like there awake anyway. So gentle morning movement. I then follow that work by some breath work, so some calming breath work, or I do a meditation. I really love doing a meditation in the morning. It doesn't have to be really long. For me, it's like 10 minutes, 5 minutes. It's absolutely how I set the day up is fundamental to the rest of my day. Because if I don't do these things, I kind of feel a little bit irritable, a bit groggy. So it does really help shift my mood and my presence as to how I show up, just not for myself but other people. I then typically, what I'll do is I will write down. So I'm big on like writing for sort of manifestation and writing my like what's going on for me. So I will write down specific goals that I have or things that I want to do, and I kind of write those down every single day in a journal.
Is it like the greater idea or is it specific goals for that day?
No, it's a greater idea. So it's like things that I'm thinking about I want to happen, or things that I like would like to happen. So that's really helpful for me. And that kind of gives me a sense of something, a purpose. And I come back to this word purpose because purpose is really fundamental for one of my values. So purpose is a value that has always kind of been with me. There's this sense of I've got a mission, that's something I've got to do that is greater than myself. It's greater, and it's helping others, it's sharing my message. But that has always driven me and been really core to who I am, and it's something that, you know, I'm so assured of, is purpose is a value that's there.
Yeah, okay. And I got to peruse your website a little bit before we connected today, and that program, I love the title, the From Chaos to Calm.
Yeah, yeah. It's being released soon. It's in development. So you've seen a little sneak peek of it, but like my yeah, it's
It's
coming.
coming. It's coming. I'm so excited. Maybe you come back on and talk about the process of building this, but just from chaos to calm is such a beautiful idea.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
tying it to purpose, my question is that currently where your purpose is taking you, or are you being pulled in some other direction right now?
Well, in terms of that particular program, or are we talking about in terms of
Like, where is your purpose taking you? So, like, my purpose has taken me towards this podcast and doing this
yeah.
stuff,
So
right? And like building this community of authenticity and acceptance. So, like, what is your purpose driving you to do right now?
I think very similar to sort of, yeah, it's taking me to developing programs in connection for highly sensitive people. So they feel like they've got a space that they can fully see that they're not, and believe that they're not alone. Because I think like lots of highly sensitive people tend to isolate and tend to think, oh, like no one else is like this. But actually, there's a lot of people in the world. I think you might know the fact. I think it's like 1 in 20 people. Please don't quote me about that fact off the top of my head because numbers not my thing. But
They're not my thing either.
but I think there's a lot of people that are highly sensitive and they go through this world not really thinking or not knowing that other people are. So the whole message is that I want to create through my Instagram space, through my courses, through my coaching, and through the movement practices that all I will using is creating that sort of safety and that acceptance space. And I think that's my purpose. It's educating people on that. Yeah, and it's a process, but I think, you know, when you feel so aligned to something, and that comes back to purpose, that it, you know, that is my message that I'm meant to share.
Whether you figured it all out or not, it's happening.
Exactly. Embracing the uncertainty and just going with it.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. And I need to just emphasize that you're not even alone in this podcast in being sensitive.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so true. I have three older brothers. And so I was raised to be kind of like them a little bit. And I was a crier and I was sensitive and they roughhoused and they bullied and they picked on me and, like stuff like that. And I was always told, don't cry about it. And well, let's get them back. And this is how they show their love while I'm just bawling my eyes out. It's not that they didn't care. It's just that like that's what parenting was when I was a kid.
Mhm.
There wasn't this space for, well, have you considered that your kid's nervous system is just a little bit more sensitive than your
Yeah,
three sons?
exactly.
And the way I found out about the highly sensitive trait was, so my mom's a librarian and she was just perusing new books, saw the book, The Highly Sensitive Person, looked through the like little quiz that she has at the start of it. I don't know if you have actually read the book or not, bought it on the spot, and then threw it down in front of me and went, "You need this book." And then just walked away.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
such an amazing story.
Yeah.
That's
So,
so,
and I read the book and went, "Yeah, nope, this is me." I'm glad I'm not the only one.
and yeah, it's like that sense of like, oh, there are other people like me. And I think that's something that's so important that I want to share with the world, is that it's not you. You're not this isolated person. There are other people like you.
Let me ask you another question then, because in your posts and on your website, you talk about wanting to help women, how do you phrase it, stop overwhelm and emotional burnout. So tell me more about kind of that passion and how you hope to help all of us women with burnout and sensitivity.
Ah, so obviously that's it is I'm hoping obviously to develop, well, I am developing sort of programs that are going to help with the overwhelm and the burnout. And I talk also, there's a lot, I think I've mentioned overstimulation as well. And I want to kind of mention a little bit about that because I did, obviously, if you go back to my story of when I was masking my highly sensitivity and I was trying to be something that I'm not. And I don't know about you, but when I've been living in places which are really loud and busy, I really noticed this within myself. I was like, my environment is contributing a lot towards this overstimulation. So as much as I love being and traveling, I when I'm constantly surrounded by noise and like overpowering environmental factors, this for me contributes a lot to the overwhelm and the burnout for me as a highly sensitive person, because I'm absorbing it, because everything is just, whoa, it's just too much. So I want to do a lot about sort of managing how as a highly sensitive person you can help yourself in these environments as well, because I think environment is does play quite a big factor in that. Would you agree? Is that making sense?
Yes, I have the like so many different pairs of earbuds and different boundaries that I set of like I need to go disappear for a minute. And I think
Yeah,
one of the biggest moments for me, and I love being able to help like my clients realize this as well, is if you're at a big party, even if it's an important party, like a wedding or an engagement or a big birthday, you're allowed to step away and like go for a walk around the block. You don't have to stay just because you RSVP'd yes and everybody's expecting you to be there. You can disappear for a bit and take a break and recharge your
exactly.
nervous system. And so, yes, no, everything you're saying is making sense to me. And so, when you feel that overstimulation, that overwhelm, I'm curious because we are all different. How do you experience it? Like what cues does your body give you to tell you that you're hitting that limit?
So yeah, there's a few ones for me, and I talked about this a lot. Like I carry it a lot in my like shoulders. So for me, it's like this constant tension, like in my body. Like everything's really tight. It's like I've clamped my body up, and it's like responding to this kind of like I've got to fight and be in this kind of fighting position. So tensing my body, like I'm constantly like aware of how my body is, and I know that like when I'm tensing, I'm overstimulated. So again, one of the things I really use a lot of like the yoga that is more embodied yoga. So it's feeling into your body and sort of more gentle releasing of the fascia, which can really help because we carry a lot of tension. So that's one of the things that I notice is a lot in the body. And also I really noticed that I can get quite irritable when I'm overstimulated. My irritability is like I'm snapping. I've got like a short fuse. Now, I genuinely am quite a positive person. Like I have my lows and I have my high highs. That's part of who I am. But I'm genuinely overall quite a positive person. But when I'm in this overstimulated environment, it's just like I'm negative. I'm irritable. I like snap at things. Um, so that's a way I really notice. I'm like, oh, I'm reacting not like I would be. And that comes from being chronically overstimulated. And I mean, I've been living in Vietnam for a while, and that has been something I've been dealing with quite a lot, and has been a journey in itself for me. So that's again why I'm wanting to share this message, because when you're constantly bombarded by the noise, by the smells, by the pollution, as somebody who is highly sensitive, your environment is absolutely so important, and it can be have a really negative effect. And um it has led to me, I've had emotional burnout and overwhelm from it as well. So it's I've navigated this journey, and I've got these tools that I want to share with people because it's helped me.
Well, and I want to bring it back to something you said earlier, just to really emphasize that your tools aren't to make it so that you can handle the noise better. It isn't so that you can just mask better. Like the tools are to help you be connected to your body, be able to recognize that the overwhelm is there so that you can find that regulated space and return to who you are. Like, accept that this is who you are rather than, but I want to be able to do that. It's like, well, yeah, you might want to be able to, but is it real for who you are? Do you feel authentic?
Exactly. Is that acceptance. All of my tools are like the authentic acceptance of ourselves and how we can manage it within our bodies rather than like be like, I want to be like we said, like I want to be like this, I'm going to get rid of it, it's going to be okay, like that way. And that's been a process for me as well. But yeah, I think environments I'm going to talk more about this, are very like helpful or hindering to us as highly sensitive people. So I've been in Bali for a while now, and there are things that I just notice about my energy being somewhere different as well. So that's really important. So Bali is still, busy, but for me, I can hear the birds, I can hear the ocean, and I can connect with nature and connect with something greater than myself. And that's really helpful for me. And I think that's helpful for a lot of people who are highly sensitive. I know a lot of highly sensitive people really love being out in nature. Nature is, really caring and nurturing for us.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I agree with that. And, I grew up in giant cities. I mean, Jakarta is massive, right? And Abu Dhabi is a pretty big city. Like, I still had access to the beach, but it was so hot you didn't want to go there anyway. And it was
Yeah.
just, cars honking all through the night and lights through your windows. So you have to have blackout curtains. Like, it's just nonstop in these cities. And when I was very young, my parents got a place up in the mountains in Colorado. So even though I grew up overseas in these massive cities, I spent every summer right across the street from a state park with no light pollution and no noise. And just, all of my favorite memories pretty much are from the summers where I was in nature away from the noise and I could just spread out and exist. And so every time I start getting overstimulated, literally my brain is like, I have to go to the mountains.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's like the mountains for me, it's either I mean, I love the mountains and I'm also an ocean person. So it's like for me, they're just both so nurturing. And just being able to walk barefoot on grass, is something I just find so helpful. It grounds me. Um, so I guess coming back to when I was talking about those values again, now my values are starting to again shift. Yeah, I've done the travel and I've broadened, but now I'm like, I need to be somewhere where it soothes me, and I need that nature. So that would be another value that's really important to me: nature and connection with the earth and connection with um nature and the earth. Just
Calm, comfort,
calm, yeah, calm,
grounding.
being able to just be slow as well, like that. As a, I like routine, but I don't like rushing. And I feel like when you're in an overstimulated environment, you're almost forced to rush. You're
Mhm.
forced into this, like everything's going really quickly, so I've got to go really quickly. And for my nervous system, that's not good. And I think for most people's nervous system, regardless of whether they're highly sensitive or not, rushing is not helpful. It makes you like you're in panic. You're in this like flight mode. And being in that constant state is draining. So my values are kind of shifted now. It's like, where can I be that's going to be calm? It's going to be still, where it's going to allow myself to have that slowness to my day, which I now know that I really need.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
this. And I'm hearing so many specific, very simple tools in that too. Like, literally just go
Mhm.
outside and touch grass. Like,
Yeah.
so easy, as long as there's grass near you. Being able to physically slow down your movements. This is one that I use and I tell my clients all the
Mhm.
time. Instead of
Mhm.
like, I have to get the dishes done. Can you
Yeah.
just do the dishes?
Mindful.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're walking somewhere like, oh my God, I have to get there versus, well, I'll just take my time and I'm just going to enjoy this walk and I'm just going to go there as I go there. Just be there, and just physically slowing down.
Yeah. Shifting from that like doing mode. Like when we're talking about, mindfulness as well, we're shifting from that doing mode to that being mode. So rather than being on like autopilot where you're like washing the dishes, like you've mentioned, really, really fast, you're like, actually, I'm going to slow down and I'm going to feel how I'm washing the dishes. I'm going to do a walk and I'm going to notice things rather than like looking at my phone. So there's these simple things that we can do, like you've mentioned as well, in our days that can just really help us slow down and connect to ourselves more.
So I'm curious, it might be one of the ones we just talked about, but do you have a favorite somatic tool? You can maybe give us a little teaser for this program you're building.
So I really, mine is, and I've talked about it, mine is movement, somatic movement. So we talk about sort of yoga as well. Yoga is somatic movement when we're feeling into the body, when we're feeling into the connection of how the body is and what's showing up for us. Because movement for me is just it releases, and I can sense where my trauma or my energy is stuck. As a high sensitive person, I also really like shaking. Like I just do a lot of shaking throughout the day, and it just visualizes just shaking off what is no longer needed as mine. Because you absorb a lot as a highly sensitive person. You're taking on others' energy, and in this kind of space, you need to let that go because I've not got the capacity to hold on to it. So I need to let it go. So physically shaking, I find so helpful. I often just stop and just like, and again, that's a movement. I'm very much into, and somatic is movement, but movement and feeling into what my body's saying.
Yes. Oh, I agree with this so much. I
Yay.
love it. And so I do somatic work a lot. And so, if you need to shake, you need to shake. And sometimes it is just shaking it out. Sometimes it's almost like a push shake.
Yeah, getting rid of that.
Physically push the wall so you have that sensation of like I am pushing something away, being
Mhm.
able, if like you said when you were doing yoga in your morning routine, some days your body tells you to just lay there on the mat. Like sometimes the movement that you need is lack of movement,
Exactly.
the ability to just pause and exist and find the stillness.
Totally. Yeah, totally. I totally agree with that. And I guess, and also when we're thinking about the energies of, we've got this masculine energy, whether or not you believe in this, there's this masculine energy and this feminine energy of our bodies. And I guess we can all get really caught up in this masculine energy of like doing, being, pushing, and sometimes we got to surrender to, and I don't like to always think of things as masculine and feminine because then we're associating feminine with being weaker, and I don't agree with that. But in a sense of when we are looking at those two areas of our bodies, just leaning into that softness, that softness, and oh, I don't have to keep pushing. I'm going to listen to my body. And I have started really now, especially as I'm getting older, listening to my cycles. I'm not massively knowledgeable on all the cycles of women. That's not my area, my zone of genius. But I think I'm starting to be more curious about this and listening to what my body is saying on these specific times of my cycle. I think that's really important for women as well.
Well, and as you said, it doesn't have to necessarily be male versus female or feminine versus masculine. They all play within each other.
Mhm, mhm.
And definitely within cycles, I am very passionate about it. Also, not my zone of genius, as you put it, but very passionate about it. But also, just being able to recognize when your body is screaming to go slower, can you listen and go slower?
Mhm,
When you are motivated and driven by passion and purpose, can you lean into that and maybe ramp up a little bit that day, right? Can you actually go with what your body is asking or wanting?
mhm. Yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
That's been a big one for me because, I'm a pretty much a therapist full time, and then I'm doing this on the side. I'm writing books, I'm doing taking care of my dog, I have craft projects, like you name it, I have my hand in something.
Yeah,
And if I tried to stay on top of everything that I'm passionate about, I would burn out.
yeah.
I would be so quickly overstimulated. And so it really is, I wake up every day and I go, what do I feel like doing today?
Mm,
So sometimes I don't even touch my podcast.
That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
at all. I won't touch it for a week if it's not
Yeah.
speaking to me. And
Mm.
then I'll get up and I'll be like, oh my God, my podcast. And I'll work on it every spare moment until I go to bed.
I love that. That's just leaning into what's coming up for you also creatively, like where you are. And I think we always work and we always serve best when we're in an inspired state. And sometimes we're not inspired if we're like, I've got to do this then, this then, this then, this then. It's like when I make content, sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I'm feeling really inspired. I'm going to do loads of content. And other days I'm like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it. So I just park it. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I've got to get this out. And then I notice that my content isn't as inspired and it hasn't got its message. The messaging isn't what I want it to be, or it's not coming from a heartfelt place. And I think that really shows. Like, I think it really shows. So I think when you're doing things, when you're inspired, it's it's always got the capacity to show and be more helpful and I think enlightening, and it's going to flow more because it's coming from a place of not forcing.
Yeah, it's so, the word that comes to mind for me is just authenticity,
Yeah, authentic. Yeah, yeah.
not just in who you are, but how you feel like
Mm.
creating that day.
Mm.
And, you know, time and time again, what I hear from everyone all over the world is do what feels authentic to you and your people will
Mm.
come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I think like that's so true. When you are authentic and when you're living in that truth, in your truth, it just flows. And I think it just flows. I think, and that comes from also living my, not to talk about myself, but living my purpose of who I'm meant to serve and how I'm meant to serve. It's just flow. It's just flowing because it's true, and I think it's beautiful. I think that's a message from whether or not you believe in God, you believe in the universe. I think there is something there that's my spirituality. There is something there guiding me to share and working with me.
That's so beautiful. And please talk about yourself. That's why I invited you on.
No,
Like,
we're not always the best at that, there are we? It's always like, oh, I talk about
no.
myself.
As you were talking about that and the authenticity and just how inspired you feel sometimes, I almost felt this like body release of just like, oh, yes, it is authentic. It is creative. It is inspiring. And I mean, just having this conversation with you today, I can feel how passionate you are about this.
Yeah,
And again, not just about your story, because I mean, it is kind of easy for us to sit here and talk about ourselves.
yeah.
We could just share stories from our upbringings and share stories about, you know, the travel that we've done.
Mhm.
But we're sitting here and talking about this is a universal experience. Maybe not every single person on this planet is highly sensitive, but there are a lot of us out there. And if you don't notice that, or you don't know that that overwhelm or overstimulation is something that your nervous system is trying to tell you about, like it's not something that's wrong with you, it's your body giving you a cue saying, please listen to me, please work with me, stop pushing, please just slow down and take care of me so that you can feel good. Like that is purpose.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel that coming from you of like, I want people to know.
Yeah, yeah. That is the message, and that's the whole the whole. I mean, going back to even the handle of my Instagram is the sensitive space. It's like wanting to share that space with people who are sensitive. It's like a community from it as well, bringing people together, showing them ideas, showing them insights about themselves, giving them the help as well, which is what I want to share and I'm sharing. But yeah.
I love it so much. And
Oh,
when your program is officially out and open, let me know and I'll share it. Um,
amazing! Thank you.
I
It
would
is
love
very
that.
soon. It is very very soon. So it's there's a short one coming, and then there's one I'm working on at the moment, which is slightly longer. Chaos to Come will be out very shortly, and I will definitely
Okay.
share it. Yeah, that one is pretty much ready to go.
So it'll probably be out maybe by the time this episode releases.
Oh,
So if
definitely.
it
Yeah,
is, then I'll make
definitely.
sure to put a link in that in the description of this
Oh,
episode as well.
thank
Um,
you.
is there anything we did not talk about that you feel like you want to mention or share? Is there anything left lingering in your mind? And then we'll do a final wrap up values question.
I guess we spoke a little bit about did I always plan to be here? Didn't we? We spoke a
We
little.
we talked about how you got here, but not necessarily if it was your plan.
So I think it's been. I know I mentioned when I was in university, I sort of got into yoga from a way of helping myself through the times that I was going through. I was very underweight. I was on medication. I was through depressive episodes as well, and not in a very good place. And I was kind of like half in, half out, as I had been for a while. Of like, yes, I'm going to help myself, but I'm also doing the masking. I'm wanting to be something because other people want me to be that way. And I guess I stepped into that first yoga class, and it's such a pivotal moment for me. I stepped into a first yoga class, and I was doing this yoga class, and I just had this sense of like, there is something for me in this spiritual path that I have to share. And I just like knew like I don't know how I'm going to do it at the moment, but there is a calling, something that is calling me to do something in a way with my spirituality. And I help highly sensitive people, but I also do that as well with it. I'm not going to say that I haven't got parts of spirituality within my programs. That's just how I am, and that's what I want to share as well. But I would never force that on anybody. But I am, so yeah, back to that. So I had goosebumps, come all over me, like, and I started crying. And like it was just this weird pivotal moment. It wasn't sadness, it was just like, this is for me. There is something here that I have got to share, a message for me. And I can remember this class so clearly. And I kind of knew in the back of my head, I was like, okay, I know I'm going to teach yoga one day. Don't know when it's going to be. In my head, I was like, maybe it's 27. Got to 27, still wasn't 27. And a couple more years later, and I did do that. I did some other courses as well. I'm a mindfulness teacher, and I kind of used that as well previously to doing the yoga. But I always had this kind of calling that there was something that I needed to share. So yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah, that was like so. Did I know that I would always be here? If you asked me like 7 years ago if I would be in Bali right now, I'd probably be like, no, you won't be in Bali. Like that's a dream. Like you're never gonna go. Like, but here I am, and I am living my purpose. And I think I've always had that in the back of my head that there was purpose to what I needed to do. And I think purpose keeps you going even when things are hard and even when you can't see the road clearly. I think purpose is always been there for me. So I knew that there was always a purpose. I didn't know how I was going to get there or where it was going to come from.
What a powerful example of everything you just talked about, too, of just slowing down and listening to yourself and showing up in this authentic space. Even though you felt that purpose and that calling and that like release and opening,
Mm.
you just sat with it until it was ready and you were authentic and you were able to go with it. You didn't
Mm.
try to force that purpose to happen. You just went, I know it's there. I know I'm going to get there eventually. We'll see when it happens. And that is just, oh, that is beautiful.
Thank you. And I think also we don't always, if I had shared my purpose and I'd started it earlier, there wouldn't have been the lessons that I'd learned. There wouldn't have been the growth in able to share with other people.
You would have been a different person.
Exactly. And I wasn't, there was parts of me that still were, and I think we all say this, no one's ever fully healed. Like, we're healing. We're always working on things. There's things I'm working on now, but I've been working on, I've done a lot of healing.
But sometimes you get to a point where in the healing, you just want to live too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I love this conversation, and I feel like I have 1,000 more questions. So let's pause on that.
Yeah.
But I want to end on a values-based question, which just very simple, very short. What value is guiding you this week?
So I've talked a lot about purpose. I wrote my values down, because I do like to write my values down as well, because I kind of have values that are like your fundamental values, the ones that, like, for me are there and they don't really shift. They're the ones that are like my deep inner values. And then I've got my values that kind of shift on a, like, maybe a yearly or a monthly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about purpose as being one of those ones that's there. It's concrete. It doesn't move. It's there.
You and I are in such alignment. I literally just did an episode on values and understanding the different facets of it. So like
Yay. So I think this week I've been thinking a lot about joy, and sort of joy being a value, because I'm working whilst I'm in a lovely place, and I'm very conscientious. Like, I work hard. I've always been a hard worker. I am a high achiever as well as being a highly sensitive person. I am somebody, yeah. And those things are, it's quite hard to manage, because you can imagine. But joy, where can I, like, soften and bring joy to myself this week? And rather than, like, being like, oh, I've got to push through, it's about taking a time to step back and be like, oh, I'm in this really nice place. Let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy this moment. If you take a day off, Rachel, you're allowed. And I think for me, that can be quite like, oh, yeah. But, softening into that approach, like we've spoke about, softening, leaning into that stillness and that calm. So this week I'm doing that. I'm going, okay, where can I soften, and where can I just stop and allow myself to enjoy and be joyful?
I love that. I hope you find that this week.
Thank you. What's yours for this week, by the way? I know I'm not interviewing, but what's yours?
I didn't prepare anything. Okay. No, that's okay. I'm kidding. Honestly, I think this week it's the slowing down. I think my intention, my hope is comfort and calm, and just what we talked about in terms of that somatic regulation. Yeah. I've been really busy and doing a lot. And I think this week is the first week where I can take a deep breath.
That's so nice.
And so, yeah, I just want to do that.
Oh, I bet that's going to be... And do you say you're in Colorado? Oh, what's the weather like? Is it nice and sunny?
It is hot. Oh, wow. But right around now, actually, once we hang up, I'll probably go take my dog for a walk. So get outside, touch grass, slow down. That's my
beautiful.
Goal. Well, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely.
Can you feel the passion and purpose? Because I can. The desire to find a path that fits for us in our authentic selves, and to not mask or pretend to be something that we're not just because we think it's what the world wants of us. It is so great to just be free of that. And I am so grateful that I am not alone. There are more sensitive people out there just like Rachel and I. We are a community, and I'm glad you were able to listen to two of us talk today. Hopefully, something we did talk about resonated with you. If it did, let yourself sit with that idea for a little while longer. If you have any questions for this podcast or any themes you'd like us to focus on in the future, send us a message on Instagram at Insights With Us Podcast, or send us an email at insightswithus@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to hear more, please follow, like, or subscribe. If you want to support the continuation of this podcast, you can donate. To do so, find me, Anastasia Soroka, on buymeacoffee.com. You can also find Insights With Us on Substack for exclusive content, including videos, transcripts from these episodes, which will slowly be released, and other writings about my insight journey. You can find digital downloads on my website, happymindwellness.com. Thank you for being my adventure buddy, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you for creating insight with us.